Richard Wurmbrand said this: beginning on August 23rd, 1944, 1 million Russian troops entered Romania, and very soon after this, the communists came to power in our country. There began a nightmare which made suffering under Nazi times seem easy. Once the communists came to power, they skillfully used the means of seduction towards the church. The language of love and the language of seduction is the same. The one who wishes a girl for a wife and the one who wishes her for a knight in order to throw her away afterwards both say, "I love you." Jesus has told us to distinguish the language of seduction from the language of love, and to tell the wolves clad in sheepskin from the real sheep. When the communists came to power, thousands of priests, pastors and ministers did not know how to distinguish the two voices. The communists convened a congress of all Christian bodies in our Parliament building. There were 4,000 priests, pastors and ministers of all denominations. These 4,000 priests and pastors chose Joseph Stalin as honorary president of the Congress. At the same time, Stalin was president of the World Movement of the Godless and the Mad Murder of Christians. One after the other, bishops and pastors arose in our Parliament building and declared that communism and Christianity are fundamentally the same and could coexist. One minister after another said words of praise towards communism and assured the new government of the loyalty of the church. My wife and I were present at this congress. My wife sat near me and told me, "Richard, stand up and wash away the shame from the face of Christ. They are spitting into his face." I said to my wife, "If I do so, you lose your husband." She said, "I don't wish to have a coward as husband." That is a weighty lady. Then I rose and spoke to this congress, praising not the murderers of Christians, but Christ and God, and said that our loyalty is due first to him. The speeches of this congress were broadcast, and the whole country could hear proclaimed from the rostrum of the Communist Party the message of Christ. Afterwards, I had to pay for this, but it had been worthwhile. There's his wife going, "No, I don't want a coward for a husband. These people are insulting Jesus Christ, and I need you to go and wipe away that shame from Jesus' face." What does that tell you about the value of Jesus Christ, that she would do that? That she would know that it would cost her husband if he was to do that. And yet she went ahead with it. And then I'm just going to read a little bit from her as well. We don't hear as much about her, but this is what Richard Wurmbrand said. "I was taken away from my wife. I did not know what happened to her afterwards. Only after many years I heard that she'd been put in prison too. Christian women suffer much more than men in prison. Girls have been raped by brutal guards. The mockery, the obscenity is horrible. The women were compelled to work at hard labour at a canal which had to be built, and they had to fulfil the same workload as men. They shoveled earth in winter. Prostitutes were made overseers and competed in torture and faithful. My wife is eating grass like cattle to stay alive." I'm not going to read all of it because it's pretty horrible. And that was pretty rough anyway, wasn't it? I want to read this to you, this next bit, because this is something that happened in the life of this lady. Their son Mihai was basically on the outside. He wasn't in prison, but it was made illegal for the families of Christians who've been prosecuted or who've been deemed to be criminals. It was illegal to support those families or to look after them. So this little boy basically had to start fending for himself and making a living quite early on. At the age of 11, Mihai began to earn his living as a regular worker. Suffering had produced a wavering in his faith. He'd started off apparently really being quite passionate about Jesus, but it produced a suffering in his faith. But after 2 years of my wife's imprisonment, he was allowed to see her. He went to the communist prison and saw his mother behind bars. She was dirty, thin, with calloused hands, wearing the shabby uniform of a prisoner. He barely recognised her. Her first words were, "Mihai, believe in Jesus." The guards, in a savage rage, pulled her away from Mihai and took her out. Mihai wept seeing his mother dragged away. This minute was the minute of his conversion. He knew that if Christ can be loved under such circumstances, he surely is the true Saviour. Do you see the value that is being placed upon Jesus Christ at that point? This lady separated from her children for years.